This is the Drew Experience, Season 1, Episode 7. And to kick off 2021, I have one of I think the biggest guest of the year to kick off. He is a current top 5 middleweight contender in the world in the Ultimate Fighting Championship, and a former cage fighter champion, and the pride and hope of Scandinavia, representing Norway and Sweden. I have Jack the Joker Hermansson with his head coach Mohsen Bahari from Frontline Academy. Welcome to the show, guys, and thank you so much once again.
Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you.
So,
Pleasure.
Hey, not a problem. So you guys have an interesting relationship because Jack, you have a YouTube channel, and I've been really watching the show, and I really love the dynamic you and Mohsen have as a coach and fighter. Where did that relationship come from?
Yeah, we've been knowing each other for quite some time now. Mohsen has basically been my MMA coach through my whole MMA career, and after some time, you get tired of being polite to each other, so then you start to mess with each other. So I guess that's it.
And honestly, like, a shout out to how you guys have really represented Scandinavia, because you came into the UFC. I was looking at your record in 2016, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's correct.
So you fought a few guys. I started following you and Mohsen more when on the Alexander Gustafsson Teixeira card, and I was very impressed with that win I saw. But what really caught my attention was when you beat Jacare on short notice to really catapult yourself. So what was that? How do you feel like that win, even though it's a year ago? How do you feel that win has really helped Scandinavian MMA?
Well, that was a big fight, and suddenly we had another Scandinavian fighter in the top 5. Before that it was only Alexander Gustafsson that has been in that position in the UFC. So it was really cool to be amongst the bigger names in the sport. So I was happy with that win, and it was good.
That's awesome. And Mohsen, how do you feel about this? Like, how has it helped you at Frontline Academy with what's been happening since everything just kind of took off full steam in 2019?
Yeah, we had a pretty good drive in the gym with the professional team. The guys competing, and I think Jack's success was very motivating for the whole team and everybody connected to the gym, of course, and also in Scandinavia in general. I think it was a very nice thing that had to have someone on that high level.
That's awesome. No, it's really impressive to see, because it's such a global sport. And when you think of Scandinavia, you always think of ice hockey and soccer. But it's nice to see that combat sports is finally getting its due. Do you guys follow ice hockey too, like we do in Canada, or is it kind of more for you guys soccer first and then like boxing and combat sports?
Well, ice hockey is very, very big in Sweden, but it doesn't have the same. It's not as big here in Norway as it is in Sweden. So I definitely felt when I grew up in Sweden, you could really feel like ice hockey is a big sport, but it doesn't quite have the same ground here in Norway. But I feel like it's growing here as well. Here in Norway, cross country skiing that's the biggest sport. Like, there is cross country skiing is the number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 sport here in Norway. That's the national the pride of Norway is the cross country skiers. So that's the focus on the sports news here.
That's awesome. And Mohsen, you have a pretty interesting story because yes, you're from Scandinavia, but you're also from Iran. So I'm also half Iranian, like, and I told you in our first conversation, because my father is second generation. Well, I'm second generation. He was born in Tehran. Were you also born in Iran, or were you born in Europe?
No, I was born in Iran, in Shiraz.
What was the city?
Shiraz.
Firas. Okay, that's where, because my dad's born in Tehran. Now I know there's another town, Gom, or that's like the more of the holier. That's one of the more holier cities. If I'm stand corrected, if I'm corrected, if not, correct me. But Firas, what was it like to grow up in Iran? And that, like, were you born after the revolution or before?
I was born after the revolution, and my family and we came to Norway when I was only 3, so I grew up in Norway.
Mm-hmm. Are there a lot of Iranians that have immigrated to Scandinavia? Like, because you think of a lot of Iranians that take up European citizenship. There's like hockey star Mika Zibanejad from Sweden, but his father is Iranian. You look at Gegard, well, it's not Scandinavia, but you look at Gegard Mousasi, who's from Iran, but he calls Holland his home. So it seems like in Europe, is there a big Iranian community in those countries, like where like you're from, and say Finland or Denmark?
I think it's a lot of Iranians in Sweden in particular, but there are also quite a few around scattered around Europe, or the whole world, I think.
We're everywhere. We are everywhere, but I have to admit though, if you ever want real good Iranian food, I always tell people do not eat it in Quebec, Canada, where I'm from, because they have to preserve it with the winters. Go to LA. If you guys have ever been to LA, like it's like little Tehran basically over there, and the climate is perfect for all the food there.
Okay, I've never been. I'll check it out if you ever go there.
LA is, yeah. If you ever have a fight, if you guys ever have a fight there, make sure there's so many Iranian restaurants, because a lot of Iranians, like after the revolution, went to Los Angeles and in America or Long Island. But LA, if you want to feel like you're eating from home, like your mom's home cooking, LA is the spot for Persian food.
Okay, nice.
Let's
So
check it out if we go there.
yeah, you have to. What is something that because I'm from Canada, so when you think of Canada, it's kind of a North American diet. What are some Scandinavian dishes that if I were to come to Northern Europe, what are some dishes that I should try that once I get off the plane?
Well, something here in Norway that's very special, that you eat during the winter time, especially around Christmas and so on. It's called pinnekjøtt. That's like, if you translate it, it's stick meat basically, and that comes from lamb that is dried and salted, and then you cook it for a long time, or you steam it. Actually, you not cook it, you steam it, and then you eat it with some special things that you have some special sides, and that's like a very Norwegian dish that I never ate before I came to Norway, because I'm from Sweden originally, and I didn't like it at first, but like during the years now I basically love it. But it can be a little bit harder for first time if you haven't eaten it before, but that's a very Norwegian dish that you probably should try if you go to Norway.
Yeah, that's Norway's got some very interesting dishes. And Mohsen, what is a Swedish dish? Is it the same kind of dishes you'll see in Norway, or do they have their own styles of like making food?
I would actually argue that Sweden has a more cultivated cuisine than Norwegian. Norwegian food is a lot of fish, which is good, but yeah. I think there's some more variety in the Swedish dishes. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jack.
It might be true, but traditional Scandinavian food. It's like in time back, when Scandinavia was not as wealthy as it is now. It's like the food was very basic, not a lot of spices, and it wasn't you could maybe call it boring, but there is some really nice dishes, and there is some that are maybe not so nice. The most famous one might be the Swedish surströmming, which is basically a fermented fish, rotten fish, if you will, on a can that you eat on a flat bread with some potatoes on, and then some of this rotten fish. And it actually smells so bad, so you can't eat it inside. You need to eat it outside. But there is still a lot of Swedes that enjoy this one time a year. We haven't eaten a lot of it in my family, but maybe I should adapt this tradition because it's definitely something special. But yeah, I have to warn you about the smell. But try it if you go to Sweden.
You can't judge a book by its cover. I mean, that's the classic case of it. You got to eat it and then experience it. It's like you can't explain it. You just have to try it, and then you can judge it.
Yeah.
One other thing I want to both ask you is, Jack and Mohsen, you guys also had a big 2020. Like the way you guys game planned Kelvin Gastelum, that was some of the nastiest grappling I've ever seen. To take a guy out like Kelvin, who's an accomplished grappler himself, with the missiles of hands, what was the game plan going in? Like, describe that, like, because he's a dangerous opponent, and this was a real big chance for you guys to help make Frontline and Jack get into that top 4, top 3.
Yeah, but we worked actually a lot of the stand-up game for that fight. We knew that Kelvin would like to trap me, in a situation where he can fire his hands. That would be probably his choice of a fight. While mine would be a lot of movement, a little bit more stick and move. And if he got too close, I would go for a takedown. And in that fight, he came in pretty close and was going for it. And I tried to go for a takedown. He actually reversed me, but then I got the opportunity to go for the legs on the ground. And that's something that I do a lot of in training, and I was able to do in that fight as well. So that was my first heel hook win. So I feel like he wasn't ready for that, and I don't think he expected that. So it was definitely a good win. I feel like Kelvin is one of the best guys in the middleweight division, and I still feel like he's definitely one of the biggest threats there for anybody, actually. So I'm very happy with that win.
It was a really nice win, and that's like when I said, this is when I said Jack Hermansson is the guy nobody's talking about. I said, and they got to start talking about him more, because that was such a sneaky win, and sneaky good too. And now everyone's talking about Adesanya this, Adesanya that, but there's other contenders like yourself, Paulo, Robert Whittaker. Yep. What do you see now? I don't want to focus too much on Izzy because he gets enough spotlight, so fuck him. And you can swear on the show, by the way. What's your prediction for middleweight? Because it's so open now, like with Romero leaving. Like, do you want that fight with Darren Till again? Because I think that should have been the fight for European MMA. You got Norway and England that are close by to each other. That would have been such a good fight for European MMA.
Yeah, I feel like that should be the next fight for me. That fight makes sense, basically. We are very close to each other on the rankings, both before and after my last fight. And I'm coming from a loss. He's coming from a loss. So let's see who is the best. I would love to fight Darren. Then, since we already were scheduled to fight each other, it makes even more sense right now. So Darren Till, I would love that as my next fight.
I'd also like to see you fight Uriah Hall too, because Uriah is another one that's like very streaky, and now he's on like an uptick. And I think your style would really give him some problems. Yeah,
I'm sure we would. It's just like a matter of time before we fight all of the guys. You have Uriah Hall, Derek Brunson, and there's just some guys up there that has been in the division for some time, and I'm sure I will fight them all. Israel, Whittaker, Costa, So in time to come, hopefully I will get my chance to put my hands on all of them.
What fights are now? Let's speak from a fan's perspective here for both of you. If you're a fan, what are some of the fights that you're really excited for in 2021 that make you go, okay, we're buying this pay-per-view?
Mohsen, do you have anyone that is supposed to fight that you would like to see?
I'd like to see Figueiredo fight again against a rematch, actually.
Yeah,
Against Moreno.
the rematch. Yeah.
And
Moreno and Figueiredo, that was a good one.
Yeah, I would like to see Khabib come back. I don't know if that's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And also, I have to admit, I'm looking a bit forward to McGregor Poirier too.
Me too. Yeah.
What's
definitely. The McGregor and Poirier fight is going to be a good one. I feel like that's a really exciting rematch because of what Conor did in the last one and the development of Poirier and how good he has become since that. So it's going to be exciting to see how they match up right now. So I'm really looking forward to that one as well. And we haven't seen Michael Chandler's debut yet. That's I'm looking forward to that.
Also,
Let's
it was
see.
announced today. He's fighting Dan Hooker. That's also one to look out.
Oh yeah, and I love Hooker as well. So that sounds good.
He's like Hooker. Hooker, pun intended, has sold himself pretty well to get to win the Chandler sweepstakes because Chandler was dodging Tony, and then there's the whole thing. So that's why it's like I'm excited for that one too. Like, let's really see, is Chandler worth the hype? Is he really worth the hype as he was in Bellator? And is Hooker a legitimate top 3? Because if he can beat Chandler, I think we can see Hooker versus Conor next. That'd be a nice fight too.
Oh, that's a good fight. I would love to see that one. Yeah.
And even the flyweights have really amazed me, as Mohsen said. I really love bringing that up because the flyweights never got enough attention. But Figueiredo, like, do you guys both feel he's brought life to the flyweight division?
Yeah, I think both Moreno and Figueiredo and the guy that Moreno beat in the last fight. What's his name again?
Perez? Alex Perez?
Oh, was it Perez?
Yeah, he fought a contender series guy.
The guy that got his shoulder dislocated in the fight.
Yeah.
Alex Perez. Yeah, it was Alex Perez, I believe.
Okay. Yeah, and I think that guy is also really good. He's the guy that beat Kai Kara France, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah, I think that the division is really nice right now.
What are your thoughts on it, Jack? Are you following flyweights too?
Yeah, especially since Figueiredo had his super dominant wins. You just sometimes a fighter just gets that immortal aura around him, and you just felt like, oh shit, Figueiredo is so good. So I was super excited to see him. And then Moreno comes and does the fight of his life, and I didn't think that he would do that well. So now you have so much respect for him, and suddenly the division is just super exciting. So yeah, I agree. It's good times for the flyweight division.
It really is. I think it's just crazy how the year ended. For me, my biggest fight I want to see in 2021 is John Jones at heavyweight. I'm the biggest John Bones Jones fan you could imagine. Listen, I know he's fucked up out of the cage, but he's basically like the LeBron. Minus the behavior, he's basically like the Kobe of mixed martial arts, of all the accomplishments. And I'd love to see him fight Francis. Let's really see. How good is he after this layoff? Let's see. What do you guys think of that? Is that another fight you're excited for when he goes to heavyweight?
To be honest, I think when an athlete gets caught for several times for doping, they should be banned from the sport because some of the benefits from doping are lifetime long, So I think it should be a lot more strict than they are now. And I think if you got caught several times, it should be your career should be over, especially in the UFC.
What's your thoughts, Jack? Would you agree with that? Because I have to admit, like, I welcome all opinions because there's a good two sides to both arguments, whether you're a Bones fan or disagree with everything. And there's a lot of things you could disagree with.
Yeah. Regarding the doping thing, I believe that it should be treated that each case very individually, and they look at what kind of substances is this, and especially if it's repeated, because I'm 100% sure that there is a lot of, there is the contaminated supplements and stuff like that. But if it happens several times, and and if it's like some really bad substances, I think like it's a big difference if you go for weed or if you go for steroids, right? So, but if you go for steroids several times, I also believe that there should be definitely harder punishments. But if we put that aside, of course, it's always fun to watch John Jones, and but at the same time, he did have a couple of performances now where he didn't look that great.
Yeah.
But he is also one of those guys that brings his greatness when he gets pressured. So the better the fighter, the better fight. Basically, you can see that with Gustafsson and Cormier, in those kind of fights. So if we put those things aside, I would love, it would be exciting to see him against some heavyweights.
Nice. So, because like I know like we couldn't really do like an hour today because of like the scheduling, but hey, you know what? To get 25 minutes or 20 minutes with a top middleweight and a top fighter in the world, you got to take what you get, and then hopefully when we do it again, there will be a bit longer based on schedules. But I have one last question. So like taking like competing aside, are you guys like what are some TV shows you guys binging on? Like for me, I've been binging on Cobra Kai, and after that I went on a binge where I watched Spawn, Blade 2. So what's some series or movies that you guys have watched over the break?
Well, Mohsen, you can start. You're the serial killer, I almost said.
I have to agree. Cobra Kai is legendary. Raised by Wolves, pretty good. I just watched Fargo, which I found very interesting, and it's a series on HBO. Devs is really, really good.
Awesome.
All right, I have I haven't watched a series for a couple of weeks, but my last one was, I think it's called Woodland or something. It's a Kevin Costner series about like ranching in America and all the conflicts involving there. I really love that series, so that was a good one that I enjoyed.
Nice. All right. So, pardon?
Where is it? Where is that series, Woodland?
Netflix, I believe. No, it's actually on Seymour here. Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay.
So, where's, obviously, as mentioned, it's 25 minutes as mentioned, but I'll take it what I can get. Guys, first of all, I just want to personally thank you for taking time out of your day to come on. A huge shout out to Reza Pedersen from Freya MMA, who helped me connect with Mohsen. And then Mohsen, huge thanks to you for really being accessible in terms of like working with me to help make this happen. And Jack, you too, man. Like I really feel like I love doing this. I really want to help you guys build up Jack's fan following in North America too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to really pump out this episode. Where can people find you, like if they want to connect on social media?
Well, I can start Jack the Joker MMA on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. I also have a YouTube channel. That's Jack Hermansson on YouTube. Make sure that you check it out. And Mohsen, what's yours?
First of all, no worries, Andrew, but you need to spell my name right.
I do apologize. I do take accountability for that. So thank you for always correcting me and being understanding, because I know a lot of people would get really mad by misspelling it. But I said it right, Mohsen, so I'm happy.
Yeah, you said it right, but you were in trouble. You didn't even know about it. But it's fine for this time. I'm just joking, man.
I know. Yeah, so where can they connect with you, Mohsen? So if anyone ever wants to connect worldwide with you.
My Instagram, Mohsen Bahari MMA.
Perfect. Well, once again, guys, I really want to thank you guys. Episode's going to be up by the end of the day or so, and before I publish it, I'll send it to you, Mohsen, and I'll email you, Jack, with like the episode description to make sure everything's good. All right.
Perfect.
All right. Thanks, guys.